Again, my name is DeHart. I'm going to be the grain originator for this location. So my main job is going to be to make sure that we buy enough bushels to fill this place and to hopefully put out enough. We want to try to push about 15, 16 million bushel through this facility initially and then grow from there. So as Adam was saying, I started in the grain business over 20 years ago. I grew up in Northwest Missouri, around Maysville, just a little farther west on Highway 6 here. Upon graduation, I went to school at Mizzou, got a degree in ag econ and marketing, and from there I went to work in Indiana for a local or regional co-op. I worked there for about 8-9 years, then went to work for ADM Grain there in Indiana still. Worked there for 2.5 years, ended up managing just a grain facility, and then had the opportunity in 2005 to come back. Got a job with MFA working out of Adrian location, which is south of Kansas City, about an hour. It's the West Central Group. Been there for about 11 years, and this last year, when this facility came up as a project, had the opportunity to come back, and once again, I'm back in Maysville, back at home, back to the family farm. It worked out really good timing. My dad and my uncle were both ready to retire. My cousin needed some help. So my husband's farming, and I'll be working in Hamilton, and really excited about the opportunity to get back to the facility, or to this area. But I'm really excited about this facility because I think it's going to do a lot for this Northwest region as far as grain and grain prices and grain movement. So I think it's an asset for MFA, and I think it's a great opportunity and asset for the producers in this area. So, like I said, my main job is going to be to buy bushels into this facility, make sure we keep everything full and running and keep trains moving out of here. This is a put-through facility. We're not going to buy the grain, store it, and sit on it. We're going to buy it, we're going to get it on a train, we're going to get it out of there, and we're going to fill that space again and just keep doing that over and over. So with that being said, our main markets, we have a lot of opportunities because we're on the UP. We can get into the export market, Pacific Northwest. We can go into the Southeast feed market. We can get into the Arkansas chicken market. So we have a lot of opportunities. The fact that it's a 110-car shuttle loader just opens up the doors even more. When I was in Indiana, I worked on 65-car loaders, 55-car loaders. Most recently at Adrian, it was a 25-car loader. So 25 cars at a time, and most of the time we were loading 15 to 20 at a time. You put 10 million through a facility at 15, 20 cars at a time, every day you're loading cars. And it's kind of a time-consuming process. And like Dave said, with this being a loop loader, it saves a lot of time of having to jockey those cars around. And you know, the 110-car shuttle loader facility just opens up your doors to bigger buyers. So we can get into the Gulf, into the export market. We can go into Mexico. I think that Mexico market will probably be a big market for us for corn. They buy a lot of corn. Beans, on the other hand, will be competing with a processor market here in Missouri that's pretty strong. We have a lot of processors in the area that we'll be competing with. So I kind of see us as probably being at least a 70-80% handle of corn and 20 to 30% handle of beans. And that's just going to be from a competitive standpoint. You know, if Cargill or ADM Quincy, if they need beans to process, they're going to pay what they need to get those beans. They're not going to let us take them and send them out on rail. So there will be times, I think, at harvest when we'll be very competitive on beans, and we'll have the asset that I think will be a faster unload than especially some places like Cargill and Kansas City. They get bottlenecked pretty heavy. So we'll have some advantages, but I wouldn't say that, yeah, we're going to beat everybody on the bean price all the time. I can tell you right now it's not going to happen. But we're going to do our best. We're going to be competitive. Corn market, I think, is where we really have advantages. And I think MFA was, I think, very smart in that they looked for a facility that was going to be on the UP line, not on the KCS. Most of the shuttle loaders in Missouri are on the KCS line, and we're starting to see some struggles with getting cars. Those shuttle loaders are going to get those cars first, but you still have a lot of competition for the cars and for the buyers on the other end. With it being the UP, there's not quite as much competition for those cars. We have a lot more outlets as far as where we can go with those cars. But it'll take us a little bit of time to build those relationships with the buyer and to get a really good feel for, where the grain needs to go, what is a good bid, so we can put stuff on ahead of time. So I think the early bids that we have, I think we'll see in time that we'll get a little bit better, get more competitive as we can get some positions put on ahead of time. I think that that'll be a plus. So if you look at things right off the bat and you think, oh, they're not as competitive as I was hoping that they would be, give us a little bit of time. It takes some time to build those relationships, and I think that those bids will get better as we move forward. So catch me if I missed something, we'll come back to it. But now that I've dogged on you, you'll dog on me, won't you? I expect it. So my job is to buy bushels into this facility. The second thing that I'm here for is to help you guys with your marketing programs and your marketing plan. Because we all know it's a lot more fun to grow this crop and to get it in the ground, get it out of the ground, but it's not that much fun when it comes to the paperwork and trying to sell it. So that's what I'm here for. I will do my absolute best. If I knew what the market was going to do, I wouldn't be in Missouri in January. But I will do my absolute best to try to help you guys get a marketing plan that works for your location or for your facility. Everybody's got a little bit different situation. But I'm not going to suggest anything to you that I wouldn't be doing on our own farm or that I wouldn't be telling my own family. So we have several options as far as different types of contracts through MFA. Of course, you can just be driving down the road and decide you want to pull in and spot sell some corn. That's just fine. If you're not set up in our system, not a problem. Give us your information, take just a few minutes. We'll get you set up and on your way. We do, however, offer forward contracts or just a flat price contract that you could do. You could lock in today either corn or beans for June, July delivery, when we think we'll be operational sometime in June, for sure July, barring any major weather aspect. Or we have new crop bids. So corn, you'd get an option to deliver September, October, November. Soybeans, you could deliver October, November, December. So you have a three-month window that you could deliver in. So we have forward contracts. You could just lock in the futures price, just a futures only or hedged to arrive contract. And there again, you could do a basis contract, which is just locking in the basis portion of that price. There again, we have minimum price contracts. So if you go ahead and contract your corn now for September delivery, like say a 365, but you think there's a chance, hey, the futures might get higher if we don't have as many corn acres planted or if we have a weather rally this summer. You can do a minimum price contract. You've sold your corn, you've locked it in at the 365, you can go out and buy a December call, and let's just say it cost you 20 cents. So your cash price now, instead of being 365, would be a 345. But for that 20 cents you paid for that corn call, you have some upside potential. You're not going to gain penny for penny what the futures market goes up. It's just an insurance policy. But if that market gains, and it gains a bunch in a short amount of time, you're going to be very glad you have that call in place because it's going to make you some money. If the market does absolutely nothing and just stays stagnant, you've spent an extra 20 cents that you probably didn't need to. It's the way any insurance policy is. But if it gives you the comfort level to go out and sell $3.65 corn today, if that's a profitable level for you, it gets you to pull the trigger instead of possibly waiting and taking 280 at harvest. So we do have minimum price contracts. We will offer NPE or DP, delayed pricing. The charge on that is going to vary year to year. So your NPE charges are set on, from the time that you bring the grain in at harvest, we're going to have to ship that out right then because this is just a put-through facility. So we're shipping it right back out the door, and say the basis level's at 40 under. And we're shipping it out the door, but we might not buy it from you until January when the basis is, say, 10 under. So that 30 cents from the time that we've sold it to the time that we buy it back from you, that's our risk. That's what we're going to lose if we don't cover that somehow in charges. So some years that might be 30 cents. A few years ago when I was at Adrian, it was 2012, it was a really short crop. We had free NPE because we had enough space. We weren't going to ship anything that was going to come in on NPE. So those will vary year to year. It might be 10 cents to get you to January. It might take 30 cents to get you to January. That'll just vary. If anybody has questions on how we set that, let me know. We're going to have to be competitive, to everybody else that's offering some kind of NPE. So we're not trying to gouge anybody when it comes to NPE prices. We're just trying to cover, our risk. So we will have NPE. What we will not offer is open storage. And that's just simply because we're not a storage facility. So open storage, grain bank, we won't do, but that's where you're going to want to utilize your local facilities for those options. Okay. Another contract that we offer is an average price contract, and we run that from March 15th until June 15th. And it's basically just it's a cash contract, or you can leave it as a futures only contract, but we're just going to lock in the closing price, say on December corn, from March 15th every day through June 15th. So there's usually about 70 trading days in there. If you give us 5,000 bushel, we're going to be trading about 75 bushel a day, just setting the price on that every day till we get to the end. June 15th, you have all 5,000 bushel priced at one average price. Then you can tell us anytime from February 15th when we started, hey, I want to go ahead and set my basis, lock that in. You can do it anytime, June or July. You can wait clear up until the time you deliver that grain to set the basis if you want to. So it has a little bit of flexibility to that also. That is a great contract to use to get your marketing plan started for the year. It's usually before anybody gets anything in the ground, but we choose March 15th to June 15th because 80% of the time, those prices are going to be better than if you wait until harvest to sell those bushels. So we usually recommend not 10 to 20% of what you expect to produce that you'd want to put into that program. But it's a great way to get started, takes the emotion out of it. You're not trying to pick one specific day to get those bushels locked in. You're going to get the average over a time frame. Now, this last 2 years, they've worked really, really well. This last year on beans would have been nice if we'd have started about 2 weeks later, because we got started about 2 weeks later, then the price started to work up. And as that price is working up, a lot of guys were like, man, why did I put bushels into the programs? Now it's, June 20th and prices are higher than where we ended on June 15th. And I had to remind a lot of guys, you only put 10% or 20% of your expected production into that. We're into June. I know for beans, there's still time for things to go wrong. But, for the corn was looking pretty good. You still have 80 to 90% of your crop to still price at these higher levels. So if you're complaining about what you just sold here, that probably means you need to be selling some more today. And by the time we got to harvest, those average price contracts looked really good because they had about a $3.90 average corn price compared to about a $3 at harvest price. Yet from June to August, there was still a window in there that you could have done better. So another great contract, another tool to put in the toolbox and use. Another question we've had on this facility is it going to be a patronage paying facility? And yes, it will be. I think in the pro forma, they're looking at like 3, maybe 4 years out before it's paying back dividends, but it will be a patronage paying facility. And I sent a sign-up sheet around, just get your name, phone number, and if you want to get text messages from us on our grain bids, put your carrier down, whether it's AT&T, Verizon, I'll get you set up to where you can start getting those text messages. Those are going to come out the way we have them set up 3 times a day. So around 9 o'clock in the morning, about 1 o'clock, right before the market closes, and then about 4:30. After the market's closed and all the basis levels are set, everything's changed for the day. So if you don't want to get those 3 times a day, let me know. I can put you on just at 4 o'clock at the end of the day. But I think it's really nice to have them 3 times a day because it lets you know what the market's doing when it first opens up. 1 o'clock, right before it closes, if you want to get something done, you can. And I mean, even at 4:30, if you see, hey, the market's been up 12 cents today and it's close to a level that I'm ready to pull the trigger on, we can still do that. It'll come out to where, you'll still have an hour or so to get a hold of us. Other thing to remember is we do take target orders. So if we're at, we're about 361 today for new crop corn. If 375 is a trigger point for you and you'd want to sell 1,000 bushel or 5,000 bushel, if we get to 375, go ahead and call me and put that target order in, and I'll put it on the board, the Chicago Board of Trade, because the markets trade during the night, and I, for one, require sleep. I'm not up all night long. You can call me, but I'm probably not going to answer. But if we put those orders in, if it trades there during the night, your order's done, you don't have to worry about it. And this last spring, I'd say it's probably close to 70% of our target orders were hit during the night. And the really weird thing was it'd run up during the night, and then by the time we'd get to work in the morning, the market would open back up, the market was back off. So I had a lot of guys that had $4 offers in that would hit during the night. They were taken care of. The guys that just called and said, well, call me if it gets close. I'll make a decision then. I'd have to call those guys up and say, okay, well, the market got to 403 last night, but we're back to 390 this morning. They didn't get anything done. So really good to get those target orders in. It also keeps you from getting busy in the field and not catching the market or not getting this called. I've been guilty of that with our own stuff before. And that evening you're like, oh, I forgot to do that, and I'll do that first thing in the morning, and then the market's gotten away from you. So get those target orders in place. I think they're extremely useful. Keeps you on a disciplined marketing plan too, which I think is key. So we also have a website. It is up and running now. I gave you my cards, my cell phone number's on there. Our website address is not, but if you just go to www.mfarailfacility.com, you'll get our webpage. Our cash bids are on there, futures market's on there. We have grain comments, so we put on morning grain comments. You can go in and sign up for the text messaging on that home page yourself if you want to, and that might be the faster way to start getting your text messages. Takes me a little bit of time to get through that process when I'm setting them up for you, but we can do it. So, what else am I forgetting? Somebody had asked in one of the other meetings about hours. What are our hours going to be? We're not a processor, so we're not going to be 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We will be something like a 8 to 5, 7 to 5. It's not really been determined yet. But during harvest, we will have extended hours. There's going to be times if we have back-to-back trains come in, we're going to have to stay open longer. I mean, 420,000 on one train, there will be times of the year where we're going to have to be calling you and saying, hey, we're in dire need of some corn or some beans here, and we'll have extended hours at that point. So that's something else that we'll utilize the text messaging for, is especially at harvest. But anytime if we're taking grain and all of a sudden we have a breakdown, which is going to happen regardless of how nice the facility, we can send out a mass text message and just say, hey, we're down until further notice, or a couple hours, whatever the case may be. And the same thing is, hey, if we need corn, that'll be the fastest way for me to contact everybody. And then if you have something you think you might want to sell, then you can start calling me. Because the challenge will be it's me, myself, and I. So at those times, and even right now, if I don't answer the phone, it's probably because I'm on the phone with somebody else. So leave me a message and I will call you back. And if you leave me a message and kind of tell me what you're wanting or what you're thinking about, that helps me get a little bit more prepared by the time I get you called back and I have bids or whatever you need. So, but feel free to call me anytime. We're taking June, July offers. I've been writing some new crop contracts. If you just have questions about how are we coming up with our bids, what are they based off of, give me a call and let me know. So speaking of bids, just to give you an idea of where we are posted right now, our June, July corn is 31 under the July futures, which tonight is about 347. New crop corn, we're 30 under the December futures, which is 361, which corn was down about 5.5, 6 cents today. June, July beans were at 65 under the July futures, which is about 10.09. And then new crop beans, which would be October, November, you could have December if you needed it, 60 under the November, which would be 966. So if you guys have questions about those, you can come talk to me after the meeting or call me tomorrow. It depends on where you're located as to, especially for the soybeans, is that a good bid or not a good bid? I know ADM at Quincy has a much better bid right now. So if your freight's not that much different, they're going to have a pretty big advantage on us. Right now, it's pretty tough to find even a shuttle market, but any kind of a rail bean market bid compared to a processor. And unfortunately, there's one processor in Missouri that we can get to by rail, but outside of that, we don't have very many rail options into the processors for soybeans. But I do think that this facility will be a benefit to any area, given the fact that we're going to probably buy about 7 million bushel, or that's what we anticipate from our local elevators. So for the elevator here at Milan, it just means that they're going to be able to have a guaranteed place to go with grain that they can usually probably get through faster than they're taking it to, another end user processor or feed mill. So hopefully it will speed up how quickly they can get grain out their door, which means how much more grain that they can take, which should mean that they can bump their bid a little bit, put a little bit more money in your pocket as well, but give you a faster place to unload locally and hurry up and get back to the field, especially at harvest when you're trying to get as much done as possible without having to sit in line somewhere.
Has MFA got any plans to increase the truck fleet, maybe so you can push direct ship a little bit more? I mean, we're a long way from this facility. I'm not
right.
I don't be pulling many gravity wagons now.
Yeah, and there are. In fact, there's going to be a transportation is going to be putting on a meeting as far as getting truckers lined up, having all their information in the system, trying to get some ideas on where they have the trucks, what the freight's going to be, how many they have. So depending on what we can do as far as a FOB kind of a program, but also getting bushels from the locations to this facility. I think there is some talk about putting someone on at the home office that really just strictly works on a FOB shipment program. I don't know that that's going to be really up and running yet this very first year, but it's in the works. So, and I will be more than happy to help you with that as much as we can with the trucks that we have, and working with Barry on, if we have trucks that'll come out to the farm and get those bushels moved directly there, I'm all for doing all of that we can.
Yeah, I mean, my region alone has 38 trucks that run this territory, and I
know they are expecting an attendance of somewhere around 100 private coming to our transportation meeting. They're going to be freight carriers into this facility. It might take a little time for us to really get that up and running, but there's a pretty good network of hauling trucks on our road.
Well, especially non-harvest bushels, you know. I mean, I know they're busy during harvest, but non-harvest, you might be able to do a little bit more.
Absolutely. And that's usually when you'll see those FOB programs really kick into high gear is outside of harvest. And that's going to be when we at Hamilton are going to struggle to get a lot of bushels because the processors are not going to be in that time crunch. And their bids will push more. So that's when we're going to need a good FOB program. So it's coming. It may not happen right away, but it's in the works. Any other questions? Any other questions for Dave on the operations side of things?
How long until you put a 30,000-ton dry fertilizer facility?
You know, we've been asked that before, and I can tell you at this point, we have no plans for that. We have a fertilizer terminal just south of this river. Never say never, though. I wouldn't say those words.
And one thing we didn't talk about was, I think the estimated cost on this was around 28 million. MFA Oil is a partner, a financial partner on this. So is it 50-50? Or
So they're in for a fixed amount, but it's going to be.
okay, okay. So MFA Oil is a partner on this. There has been some discussion about a Petrocard station.
Yes,
There.
nothing's been put, they're actually looking at possibly this piece of property over here, putting a petrol card 24 station in there.
Oh, and we didn't talk about the turn lanes. They are putting in.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to put decel lanes. Excuse me. Yeah, you keep coming up with these questions. See, you should have thought of these. Decel lanes, we are going to put deceleration lanes on 36 highway, east and westbound. MoDOT, when we talked to MoDOT, they actually did not require them, said that they didn't have to, but we know to get trucks off a 4-lane, it just makes good sense to be able to get you guys a decel lane that you can turn in out of. And it creates just a little bit of staging area too. You know, if you got to wait just a little bit to make the turn, you're not backing up the left lane of traffic. So, David? All right. Guys, if there's nothing else, I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We appreciate it. How many of these did you do, or have we done?
20.
We've put on some right around that 20 of these. They've been very well attended. Appreciate it. I know Diana's going to continue to have more meetings with our locations. But if you get home tonight and you think, why didn't I ask this? You got cards. You can call Diana. You can talk to Barry, and he can get a hold of any of us at any time. We're an open book. I guess if there's anything else out there, just let me know. Otherwise, thank you all for coming tonight. Appreciate it.